All right, guys, I'm really excited about this week. We have two special guests. One is my dear friend, Rahaf Amer, who was actually the executive chef at my restaurant, Salt and Vine, when I had it. And she has become very good friends with Colbie Caillat, who I know you remember from her gigantic debut song, Bubbly. It was for sure on my iPod in middle school. And her debut album, Coco, went number one on the Billboard charts when it came out. And since then, she has had a decade and a half of an incredible career. She has over 15 billion streams, 2 Grammys, and now she is a Nashville resident and is releasing her first country-inspired album in October of this year called Along the Way. And I'm telling you, it is so good. I feel like I fangirled on the album. It's so personal and honest. About the struggle that she has had the last several years of her life after ending a 10-year relationship and engagement, and just what that looks like in terms of reflection and resilience and recovery. And she's come to this incredibly peaceful, grateful place where she is essentially teaching us to treasure the seasons even after seasons have closed, even if they've closed in a hard way. So we just have such a cool conversation. They talk about their favorites and experiences here in Nashville, as well as re-entering the dating scene in our 30s, which all three of us have done. So it's fun, it's silly, it's really rich, and the two of them are just honestly a blessing to be able to sit down with for an hour. So I know y'all will love this interview with Rahaf and Colbie. Colbie, Rahaf, thanks
Maddie.
for coming to join me today.
Thanks for having us.
I'm really excited to talk to y'all for so many reasons, about your professional work, about your personal experiences in Nashville, but how I love to start every show because it's Music City, and I get especially excited when I have musicians, no offense, to ask this question. But I want to know, like, if there was a song that was your walkout song for life right now. You know how they do with baseball players? Mm-hmm. Like, what would be playing behind you? Like, end of 2023, what's playing as you walk into life?
Ooh.
I actually know the answer to this for me.
And it's not arrogant if you choose one of your own songs.
Oh my
I tell
gosh.
everybody that. Okay. What is it, Rahaf? I'm afraid. I think I probably know.
Yeah. Jonas Brothers, Burning Up.
But is
my
that your
anthem.
walkout song now? Because it's been your walkout song for the 7 years I've known you.
I'm a
your
consistent human
life.
being. It's just Burning Up. Jonas Brothers.
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
accept it. This
Thank
is the
you.
one occasion that's okay for you to say.
Thank you.
Do I know that? I know it's bad. I don't know if I know that song. I know. Don't be upset.
Y'all have been friends for how long, and you have not made her listen to this? You know how many times I've had to hear this song? No offense to Jonas Brothers.
Well, I know who they are. I don't know their all of their music.
I would sing it right now if you weren't
Sing
here.
it.
Yeah,
no,
go
no,
ahead.
No.
Give the audience.
why don't
Yeah,
we
let's
play
hear
it?
let's
There
hear
we
a
go.
little run of it just to get
Just
started.
the chorus. It really pumps me up.
Wow.
Is this an old one?
It's like on their third album, I think. Yeah.
I have not heard this.
All right, we're gonna listen to
The
it on
story.
the ride home.
Yeah,
See?
it's pretty inspiring.
Oh, yeah. This
Yeah,
is your
yeah.
song?
It's my song for 7 years
What
now.
is your reasoning?
Yeah, I would like to know the reasoning. Besides
know.
that you want to marry one of them.
Well, not anymore.
Oh.
But I don't know. Burning Up. I'm a chef.
Fair.
I don't know. It just pumps me up. In the kitchen, we would always listen to it, and it was like I would go.
That is true.
Yeah.
That's probably why it's not
It's my pump up
walkout
song. Yeah. PTSD.
Yeah, PTSD.
Pump up song. Shoot. I can't even think of stuff right now. I like to be prepared with this stuff, but I feel like maybe I'll say
It's a trick question.
Starting Over, Chris Stapleton, just because it's like
Oh,
such a
that's a
cruisy,
beautiful
breezy,
song.
like calming song.
Yeah.
But like a more up, like, I don't know. I love Post Malone, so
Yes.
I don't know. Sunflower.
I love it. Two very different answers.
Yeah.
Starting Over is beautiful. Honestly, kind of a similar sentiment, I feel like, to your album.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
Similar vibe.
Yes.
Which your new album comes out October 6th
Yes.
this year, Along the Way, and it is your first in 7 years?
Yeah.
Solo album.
Solo album. Yeah.
How does that feel?
It feels really good. I was grinding so long, like since the beginning of my career, and then I moved to Nashville and started my country band Gone West with my fiance at the time and my best friends. And so we did that for a few years, and it was just so busy. And it, like everyone who's starting something new, you're constantly at it. So it becomes really exhausting. And then the pandemic hit, and I just remember I was so burnt out by everything. And I really wanted to take the time to not do music and not have to play and tour and write. And so I really enjoyed that. And now it's been, in the last couple years, I've been writing and recording this new record, but in my own time and when it felt natural and right, rather than like scheduling a ton of sessions like I used to do in the past.
Yeah.
So I would only write a song when I had an idea come that would spark, and then I'd go write it, and it was like therapy.
Yeah.
And now it feels like, wow, I can't believe it's been 7 years. But I guess, when you put all that together, it has.
Did you ever feel any sort of like angst of I should be scheduling sessions, like I should be writing, or did it really feel like a necessary break?
It felt like a necessary break. I think I would only feel that because everyone around me does that, and they're so good at it. That always impresses me, especially in Nashville, how often people write and how good the songs still are. I'm always so impressed that people can write a couple songs a day, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And it's like great songs.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, wait, should I be doing that? But I also feel like everyone does things differently, and I'm okay not doing that. It stresses me out a bit.
Yeah, I agree with that. And actually, I remember my dad saying to me, because I always wanted to be a writer, obviously not a songwriter because I can't play music, but or sing really that well. But at 19 or 20 or whatever in college, when I was like, I'm going to be a writer, and him saying, I think you have this gift, but you just have to live your life first. Like that's what you're going to end up writing about. And obviously that has happened for me in a really tough way, but he's right. And it's what you said. And for a long time I felt like, I know this is here. I know this can happen. And I feel like I'm wasting it, but I didn't have a real story that was worth telling. And so I just admire that you have the courage to take the time to really wait for the story worth telling. I think that's hard to do. So
yeah, you have to allow yourself to be, and there's times where I'm like, oh my God, I have no ideas. Like, how is it over? Like, I have nothing to write about, and then it comes. So you do have to be patient with yourself, and then there's also like anything, you kind of, if you don't want to work out, sometimes you have to force yourself to work out. Sometimes you have to force yourself to be creative and go to work. So it's a balance.
Yeah, it's a balance, and this one's country, kind of on the countryside. Are you classifying it?
It is.
Yeah,
yes,
I thought so. I love that. I obviously grew up in country music, and I feel like, I know you did it with Gone West, but I feel like even as I was listening back, to your older albums, and the stuff that, we both listened to, like in our middle school and high school years, and you always had this acoustic, very like, I don't know, authentic storyteller vibe, which I think is an attribute that defines country music, and are such a good writer, as you said. So it feels like a very natural transition to me, and I love the album, so I'm really excited to talk about it.
Thank you.
But Rahaf, tell us why you're here. How do you connect? How did y'all meet?
Why
am I here? I don't know.
Besides comic relief, which
I'm
you're
catering the
excellent
food for this afterwards.
Oh
Actually.
wow,
Yeah.
I was unaware
Yeah,
of that.
Yeah. Surprise.
Am I paying for it?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
20%.
Yeah, 20% off.
Why am I here? Well, Colbie and I became friends like almost over 3 years ago now, like through other friends. And we just had like an instant connection. And then, I mean, the rest is history. Now we just cook together. She's going to teach me how to play the guitar soon.
I am.
wow.
She taught me how to cook my first steak.
Yeah.
And now I'm
Okay.
And how do we cook
professional.
the steak? To what temperature?
Wait a second.
To medium rare.
Okay.
Yeah. Remember? Yeah.
I know that. I still don't entirely prefer it that way,
Yeah,
but I cook
but-
it that way for people. But I cook
Listen,
a
if
little
you want
longer.
to cook it for you medium, I'm on your page.
That's what
okay?
Or I'll just eat the outside.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
There was one time I made Colbie this Wagyu steak, and I was like,
Oh.
oh my gosh, like we only are cooking this medium rare. That's it. Like it's the best steak. And so we're like eating, and I just see Colbie like cutting up little pieces like on this. And I looked at her, I was like, Colbie, I'll cook it more for you. I'll
Yeah,
cook it more
you don't
for
have
you.
to
She's
eat-
like,
it's
no,
like
no, no,
eating
I'll
just the
just,
crust
I'll
on a
just eat the
sandwich.
edges. I'll just eat the edges.
Well, I was vegetarian for like 10 years and I never
yeah.
really cared for red meat before that. So it's something I had to get like reintroduced to. So
And medium rare Wagyu is like jumping into the deep end.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
a pretty intense
chewing
place
gum.
to start.
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Also, for the record, Rahaf is a professional chef. That's
Yes,
why
that's-
she's teaching
she
Colbie how to
is
cook.
That is.
very professional chef.
Did you shared with her about when you ordered the child's guitar
Did I?
off Amazon? Were you where you'd be teaching her on a child's guitar? Because
She did say
tiny.
that, but I have a little, like a baby Martin, but it's like they're
Cool.
just a small body,
Yeah.
and so I brought it over, and
Yeah.
I have it at my house, so I'm gonna help. Because I tried showing her on a regular guitar.
It's just
Her hands
too
are
small,
tiny.
dude.
Tiny
I'm
hands.
telling you.
I don't know. Tiny hands.
It just so she needs a little guitar.
Yeah,
That's
Fine.
awesome.
They sound the same.
They sound the same. Well, I'm excited to also hear from both of you because you came to Nashville from basically DC, Arlington, Virginia. What?
Yep.
How long ago now?
Almost 10 years ago.
Okay, well, yeah, that's long. It's
long
longer
time.
than I thought.
Yep.
And then you moved from, were you in LA?
Yeah,
You
I'm
moved
from California. Yeah.
during the pandemic. So I wonder.
I've been here for
you've been
7
here
years.
longer. Really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Are you
Yes.
here to stay or?
Yeah. So when I
think?
first moved here, I thought it was just something I would try, and I'm a Californian. I'm always
Yeah.
moving back, and now, I mean, after a couple of years of being here, as you guys know, the community is amazing. Everyone is friends with everyone.
Yeah.
Like every single person knows every single person,
Yeah.
and there's so much fun stuff to do. So I love it here, and I'm just trying to get my friends and family to move out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What was the move here? Like, what was the catalyst? Was it to record? Was it personal? Just
No, I had always, I was born and raised in Southern California. I wanted to try somewhere different. I didn't really know where that would be, but I wanted to have friends there and I wanted to still be able to work easily. And so Nashville made sense, and I had friends that lived here. I would come here and write with them, so it was a natural transition.
yeah. Have you done any of the country stuff? Like, I think people think of Nashville and they think we're still very. It is southern, right? But like, it's not really rural unless you get outside
Yeah.
the city. Have you done anything that
Like what?
has surprised you? Like, have you like I've seen pictures of y'all on farms and
Oh,
like.
well, yeah.
Have you jumped into the country life at all?
For sure. So the guy I'm dating, we've been dating for a while, and they live on a ranch out in
cool.
Ashland City. And so for the
Yeah.
last like few years, I've been able to learn all of that. And they have goats and horses, and like learn how to use a chainsaw, like when the
Yeah,
trees
that's
fall
awesome.
down from the storms, and all of that. Like drive a tractor. I mean, I don't like drive a tractor,
Yeah,
but I've done it before.
Yeah.
So
That really isn't obviously the normal Nashville
No, it's
lifestyle, but
not.
that's part of what's cool about this city, I think, is it is metropolitan and cultured, and we're getting all this cool food and music. And I mean, we've always had music, but a more diversified kind of music scene. And then you go 30 minutes out, like my parents have a place close, like on the way to Ashland City, and it really does feel like kind of the old Southern Tennessee farm vibe, and, and you
mean,
can do both.
that's what I love. And the
Yeah.
same day you could do the stuff on the farm out in the country, and then go to Broadway or a nice dinner or
Yeah.
a hockey game or a soccer game or a concert that night. It's
Yeah.
the best town.
Did you have any trouble adjusting, Rahaf?
Did you?
I would say yes at first because I moved here from DC where like the food scene was incredible, and
Yeah.
when I first moved here,
Yeah.
everyone was
wasn't.
talking
It wasn't
about
what
like
it is
just
now.
hot chicken everywhere, and I was like not impressed. But now I love it. I'm like the Syrian in the South. I rode a horse at your parents' farm,
Yeah.
drinking a bourbon. So like that's a Southern.
Yeah.
As you can
We've
get.
really
Right?
improved your
Yeah,
cocktail
yeah.
palette since
So-
you've been here.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we love it. And I always love to hear people's experiences because I'm from here. And so I feel like I still have sort of a, I don't know, hometown lens on it. But
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot different for you too.
Yeah.
Do you like the growth or?
yeah, I
mixed?
do. I think people, when it first started exploding, got a little cynical and defensive about it, which I
Yeah.
think is probably the case in any city that was really kind of a small town city. And then you get all this attention. But I'm like, y'all need to relax. Like, the traffic
Yeah.
is not that bad. Like, there's 15 ways to get anywhere you want to go.
It's true.
Look at your ways, say a prayer, move on. Like, you'll get there. And I just think all the opportunities we have now is tremendous. Like, when people started coming, I was just thinking of, old Nashville. And, like, granted, you don't really go downtown when you're young anyway. But I was like, the only reason I ever went anywhere near downtown was if there was a concert, and that was strictly it. And now we have, all these different kind of like neighborhoods that have their own kind of personality and just everything. And like the soccer team, like you sang at the soccer game a couple nights ago, and like that's just unreal. It's unheard of. Like sometimes I have to check myself and be like, wow, this is a totally different place.
Totally different
than I was used to. But I hope it still has the same heart. I think that's what I've always been scared of. Like, I hope we don't lose the inviting, sort of like neighborly heart.
I still feel like that's there, but the more people come, it could get lost over time, but it's still here, I think.
Yeah. Well, obviously I feel like everyone knows kind of your breakout story, I feel like. And if they don't, they've been under a rock. But I feel like you really were a big voice for our generation. I feel like you would agree with that. I definitely had like the original like brick size spin iPod.
Oh yeah.
When Bubbly came out. So you were like on my original spin iPod. And I do want to ask you before we talk about the album though, like you've been very honest about you were sort of like thrust into the center stage when Bubbly went huge off of MySpace, right? Which was like the OG social media. I mean, was it? I don't know. There may have been one before that.
I think Facebook was before it, but I don't know how. I wasn't on it, so I don't know how big it was.
I think it was MySpace first.
Really?
I think so.
Okay.
I remember it, but anyway, all that to say, how old were you when that broke?
I was 21.
Okay, so to be such a young woman, and obviously music was a part of your life, but was that ever like a goal? I mean, did you anticipate being a performer?
No, I knew I liked songwriting and I loved singing. That was like, I started out when I was young. I just really wanted to be a singer, but I thought I would be a studio singer where I would just, I don't know, do harmonies or voiceover kind of things, because you could be in the vocal booth and no one was watching you. And that was like, I love just being in my own world there. And then my parents were like, you should be a songwriter as well, not just a singer. And so they put me in piano and guitar lessons. And then once I found like writing is very therapeutic, and then did these demos, like my dad's friend was the producer and my friend put him on MySpace, and then everything took off. So then I had this amazing opportunity that I had to really just go with and be grateful for as well. Like, but I was terrified of, and I was dreading. I was like, I have to do this, but like everyone else would be like, I get to do this, and I was like, oh. So yes, I had to learn as I went, and it wasn't something that I thought would happen or that I truly wanted to happen.
Do you, throughout the course of your career, have you still struggled sort of with that?
Yeah.
You said stage fright as an early artist. Is that still something you struggle with? I'm sure you've adapted, obviously, but that anxiety of sort of
it's still
the
there.
attention.
It's not crippling like it was at the beginning. Like when I would have to do TV performances and open for big tours, like I would stand there still. I wouldn't know how to talk to the audience. If I was on live TV, I would kind of mess up. I would be I would cry like literally minutes before they like are airing, like cueing you, and I'm like wiping tears because I was just like, oh, I don't want to do this. But now it's not like that. It's definitely, it never feels natural. I'm never like, let me get up there and do this. I'm like, okay, you can do it. Here we go. Like the soccer game the other night, singing the anthem. I was all day figuring out how I could cancel and how I could. I was like, who could I get to, like, I know a lot of people. Who could I get to come do this?
Dude.
Like, and I've promised myself, I hadn't done it for like 9 years because I don't like how it makes me feel. And so I
incredibly
promised
hard song to sing for one.
And everyone's counting on you. And so for me, even that day, I was just like, why am I doing this? And then after I did it and it went well, I was like, okay, why do I have to retrain my brain every single time?
Yeah, I think that's really important for people to hear because they see someone with your success and your like longevity of a career and they're like, oh, well, it must be easy. And I think people think like, if this is what the plan is, if this is like what my calling is, it should be easy. And it's like, it's exactly what you said. It's like, you can be super grateful and also be scared. And that doesn't make it not right. It just means that you're going to have to retrain your mind and reach out to people and find whatever practices you need to
Yes.
recenter yourself to the purpose of what you're doing. And we talk about that a lot with like, your work is so about your passion and about your creativity. And sometimes like, dude, you're just hitting your head against the wall doing the same old thing.
Yeah.
And how do you refuel the joy, and how do you reset your mind to be like, you know what, this is a grind, but it's an important part of the whole picture of the passion that I have. And like, how do you kind of trick yourself into not enjoying the mundane or enjoying the struggles of what you do, but I guess working from the value that they add to the whole picture kind of thing.
I mean, believe it or not, I still get nervous sometimes when I cook for people.
I was gonna
You get nervous
ask.
when you cook?
Shocker. I know, but sometimes I do, just because, especially if it's like a new kitchen or a new client or something like that, I'm like, okay, if I mess this up, like, the thing is, like, when you're in a restaurant, if you mess something up, you can like refire, or you can just 86 something. If I'm at your house and I'm cooking for you, private dinner, and I burn all the chicken, like,
Yeah.
We're
I gotta-
ordering pizza.
That's it.
yeah, well, got to figure something out. So I do get nervous sometimes, but not as, I mean, yours, anxiety, I could never do. I would just never move. But I guess, to refocus, it's like, my friend said this other thing to me the other day that was really cool. It's like, turn your grievances into gratitude.
Yeah.
And so like, even though sometimes I feel like I'm so bored, this is like, I'm not being fueled, because it's just a different adrenaline rush that I don't get from running restaurants anymore. I just think like, dude, I get to wake up every day and fill people's bellies with love and light, and like kind of have my own schedule and have a work-life balance. And so there's pros and cons to everything. But I think if we focus on the pros and less of the cons, then it like rebalances.
Yeah, for sure. And that really, I mean, you know this, but like, this is why I wanted to have the show. That's why it's called Enjoy Life, because it's like a lot of what I learned going through grief and all of that is, you know, we don't have tons of control over what happens to us and around us, unfortunately. And one of the few things that I felt like I had control or agency in was choosing things that would bring me a tiny bit of joy, or choosing to turn grievances into gratitude and everything that y'all just said. And so I love to hear different people's perspective on how they do that, you know, why they do that. And honestly, that's a lot of why I loved your album so much. I feel like that's one of the major sort of themes throughout it, at least as a listener. I don't ever want to put themes on the writers and on the artists, but it just has such a spirit of reflection and thankfulness and sort of resilience in that, like in that process of recovery from a hard loss that you've gone through. So tell us about the album along the way. Like I said, it comes out in October. Why this message? Why country? You know, why now?
Yeah. So I was in a 10-year engagement, and we were best friends. Like we had a really, really beautiful relationship. And I think, you know, because we were together when we started dating when I was really young. I think I just like started growing out of it and making the choice to end the relationship, and at the same time end the band that we were in together. And the pandemic happened. It was all like roughly the same time. It was just, it felt like starting all over.
Yeah, completely.
And like you're just living a new life all of a sudden. And so there was like the grief of leaving all of that, and especially him. And then the guilt of it that you feel when you're just like, you just feel guilty, like leaving something beautiful behind, and like all you've known behind. And so I really wanted the message to be how beautiful things end, and beautiful things then can begin as well. And I think when you're in those, actually, like the quote, this too shall pass, you know, like it's true, like beautiful, like great times, they will end. And then the hard times, when you're in them, you think you're in them forever, and then they go away as well. And it's just like, you have to remind yourself of both of the things, be grateful for the things when you have them, and know when it's not going well, it'll pass by. So that was my message for this record. I really wanted people to know, and I wanted him to know, like writing a lot of these songs for him, that, you know, relationships, when they end, you don't have to be mad at each other all the time and saying bad things. And every relationship has different stories and perspectives. And then starting back in the dating world again and experiencing those feelings of someone rejecting you or things not going well.
Yeah.
Like I've dealt with all of it the last few years as everyone does. So I think it was important for me to be able to let people know if they're going through that too. Like,
Yeah.
me too.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, and like you said, everybody is at some point. You're
Yeah.
either ending a season that is familiar, whether that's a good or bad familiar, or you're entering into a new one. Like we never really stay that long
Yeah.
in one place. And I think that change has always felt kind of scary for me, because I think we feel like if we can white knuckle or control, that there's like safety in that, but there really isn't. And so I think that's what I love a lot about these songs, is that, like you just said, it's you're taking an honest look at a relationship in a really beautiful season that ended in, I'm sure, a hard way, and acknowledging the beauty of it and acknowledging the hard. But like, to me, it feels like, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, it feels like you're at a place where you can treasure it
Yeah.
and also, sit it on the shelf, of yesterday and keep going. And I think that's the hard thing for people. That's the hard thing, is to not feel like, okay, this is over. I have to slam the door on it completely because I don't want it to hurt me anymore.
Yeah.
But then you lose all the gifts, right? Like you miss the beautiful memories, and you write about one of my favorite lines. Let me find which song it was. I think it was Meant for Me. Well, I want to talk about Meant for Me. But well, you can probably tell me. You have a line where you talk about, if I hadn't known you, I wouldn't met me. I wouldn't have met me. Which song? Do you know which song is that?
That's Meant for Me.
Okay. I thought that was so amazing, because I think every person, every season, that we go through, not only are there gifts that they give us as a person or as an opportunity, but I think we do have a chance to grow and see new pieces of us. And that takes intention and choice. And I love that line in that song. I love that song.
Thank you.
It is my top 2 favorites on the album. It's so personal to me. And actually, my late husband's birthday was yesterday, the day we're recording. And I listened to this song and I was like, this is the beauty of loving a person, and like loving the whole person. And the chorus is, you were meant for me to find, you were meant for me to touch, you were meant for me to learn from, you were meant for me to trust, you were meant for me to hold, you were meant for me to choose, you were meant for me to love, and you were meant for me to lose. And I think just acknowledging maybe that was the purpose, of our marriage, which was really short, and the purpose of your relationship, and the purpose of the hard things that brought you here. LOL, we're not gonna like trash talk people, but you had a relationship that brought you here that was really hard, and you've come to a place where you're so thankful that, like, the way that, not just like God brought you to Nashville because of, we'll call him Josh. It's not his name.
Yeah.
But also the way that it changed you as a person. And now I'm just rambling. It's supposed to be an interview, but I want you to know how much that meant to me. And I think it's really powerful for anybody who may feel stuck in the sadness of it or the regret of loss, and just to be able to say, like, okay, but what did I learn from this person that I can carry into a new relationship or into a new album or into a new job? And I feel like, you can speak to this. You've professionally gone through a lot of changes and some sort of, hard, messy endings that really took you into grief seasons. And even when they end messy and hard and hurtful, how did you start to find good from those things? Because you are a different person than when you had a hard ending a year ago.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Woof. Yeah. Man, I don't know, so much work and like self-awareness. You just have to like reshift your mind. Cause like there was a little bit of time where I was like, I had a staycation at Soho House. You saw me.
It was a sad situation.
Sad situation. I was like at this, nice hotel at Soho House, and I was just like miserable, ordering room service, just being like, I'm not leaving here. And so like, I think everybody needs to do that for like a very short period of time, just to feel.
Well, you have to
Allow
grieve.
yourself
Yeah,
Yeah,
to
you
you have to
hurt.
like feel all of that. But then eventually I got to the point where I was like, I have to do something. Otherwise, I'm just gonna like be miserable, and nobody should feel miserable.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because everything, like now that I'm looking back at it for a year, like everything, I had to be in that season because honestly, like I met you through all of that stuff. And I was finally able to like take accountability for myself and like what I had to do to heal myself, not just from that one situation, but like from years of situations that I've been avoiding. So sometimes you just need somebody to like kick you in the butt. I don't know what language we're supposed to use here. To like really get you going. And then once I started, I was just like, you start feeling good again, and then you just are like, this is how I want to feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
What helped you kind of shift from that, I need to feel the impact of this, to, okay, how do I build from here?
So many things. I think my faith was really important, like, because I was like you said, we can't control anything. And so I'm somebody that likes to have control. So I had to kind of let go of that. And then it was just nice to know, like, you know what, like, I can't fix anything, but there's, you know, my faith out there is going to be able to, like, secure me. Like, I'm covered, I'm good, everything will work out the way it should be. So that was the biggest thing. And then, you know, I did, like, even talk therapy, braid spotting, I did some other crazy things. But just, like, really focusing on me, and self-love was, like, the biggest thing I've learned throughout all of this is, like, self-love. Once you learn to love yourself, you can love everybody so much better.
Yeah.
And boundaries. I think learning
Boundaries.
and
Yes.
patterns that you've had with people, once you start paying attention to it, and then you're like, oh, okay, this is a pattern, and you have to, it might be uncomfortable, but you have to stop yourself from interacting with those kind of people,
Yeah.
or feeling like you have to say yes to those kinds of people and situations. And I know you've learned a lot, and I've learned a lot in that.
Yeah.
And that's a huge.
Look at us learning.
Yeah. Well, I think creating the space to find
Yeah.
the things that you can pursue to help you heal. And a lot of times that space comes from boundaries, which hurts other people's feelings.
It
Yeah.
does. And you
It's
have
really
to be
hard.
okay with that.
Yeah. How did, obviously, writing is a way that you probably deal and cope and process. At what point did you start writing for this album? Was it like immediate, or
No.
did you need that space?
I absolutely needed the space. I don't think I started writing till, I think first song I wrote for the album was like 8 months after everything started unraveling. And I think, like I said, every song would just kind of like come about maybe every month or so. And, you know, like you brought up Meant for Me, and like that one is one of my favorites because when I was thinking about it, I was like, oh, wow, like I was meant to experience these great things. And I was meant to, like, and my ex actually taught me that too. Like every relationship that you're in, whether it's friends, family, or a loved one, like significant other, you're supposed to learn from each other and help each other grow. And it doesn't mean it has to be forever. You just are supposed to enjoy and appreciate the things that you had together and what you learned, and then take that with you going forward. And that's when I had that thought of like, wow, we were meant for each other in that way, but we're actually not meant for each other. And so I brought it into Liz and AJ, and that's when we came up with the Meant for Me to Lose, which is like a crushing line, but
it's
so
beautiful.
It's
like
real.
it's honest. It's
Yeah.
real, and that losing it doesn't invalidate it in any way.
Yeah.
It just puts.
It makes it okay, because
Yeah, it makes
I
it
think
okay.
we're taught at a young age like you're together forever, and that's not always the case. So it's like it's becoming more comfortable and used to things ending, and not letting it be just so devastating,
Yeah.
or at least for so long, and being like, okay, that was okay to end. It's okay that it ended, and now something else will begin. And I think that was what I had to keep reminding myself in some of the depression and devastation of stuff. And I think a lot of people need to acknowledge that too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think part of, at least for me, once you maybe accept the end or the loss of whatever it is, then for me comes the fear of, okay, what's new? Like, this is
Yeah.
totally unfamiliar. And you have a line in Still Gonna Miss You that I feel like this hit me really hard about. I'm still gonna miss you because you're what my heart's used to. And I was like, man, that's so real, right? Because it's like, even if what you're used to isn't the thing that's best for you now,
Yeah.
it's like that familiar feels safer than the unknown.
Yeah.
And I feel that so much. I know you've been in that the last few years. You've experienced that. I've experienced that in all of us. I mean, romantically in your 30s, and especially after such a long relationship. And you were too. It's like you're not only entering into this new world of dating, or in y'all's case, even like new cities and stuff like that, but you're a new person. Like, you're the same, but you're
You
a
are
different
an
person going
evolved
into
person.
this.
Yeah.
How have y'all navigated that?
Oof. Well, so here's the thing.
As little or as much as you want to say.
Like, my biggest thing was, like, I'm a planner, as you know.
As we know.
So, like, I went through, years of being like, this is what my life is going to be like. This is what I'm projecting, da, 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 da. And then it ends and things just shift. And you have to, like, grieve the plan that you had for your future.
For sure. Ugh. Yeah.
So then you're just like, okay, well, that's what I thought my life would look like. And now I don't have that. So now what do I
do?
What do I do? So that was, like, one of the hardest things for me was, like, I don't know how to move forward with this. I mean, luckily, super blessed to have solid friendships, because without them, like, the motivation and, like, the support would just not have been there. But man, how do you navigate through that? It's just like trial and error for me.
Well, yeah, unfortunately. And I appreciate what you said, because you are such a planner, and I am too. But I think even if you're not, you have an idea of the goal in your head. You have an idea of whether it's the marriage or the kids, or whether it's a certain place in your career or something to achieve. And so it's like, when whatever current means to get you there is now gone, like, do you just get rid of the finish line altogether? Like, do you have to create another plan for yourself, or can you just learn to live, open? That's one of the great
Wide
songs
open.
on the album, Wide Open. I mean, do you feel like you're there? Like, it seems like you have such an open-handedness in this.
I think it's like anything, like, where you have to remind yourself of things and, like, kind of tell yourself again. And I think learning to let go of things, of whatever category it's in, is really important, because we can hold on to, no, this is what my life's going to be. This is the career I'm going to have. I'm going to be married with kids by this age. Life does not, and we learn it does not work that way. And I see it in people, and I see it in myself sometimes. And I think it's about, again, like, being okay, letting go of that plan. And one of my friends has said, he's always like, I want what is. Like, what is right for me, rather than I want this person. Well, maybe you're not supposed to be with that person.
Yeah.
So I want what's right for me. And I feel like if we can all start letting go of obviously you have to have plans and goals and dreams, but you do have to, like, let loose a little bit and allow something else come into life that you weren't expecting. And that's something I've also learned, is, like, even dating. I'm like, I've dated people I never would have expected dating and loving and enjoying things in life. So you're like, okay, I'm gonna let go a bit. I'm gonna open up and just be like, allow whatever is right to come in.
Be cruisy.
Be cruisy.
Be cruisy.
Well, I heard someone say one time, which seems so simple, like, joy only exists in the present. And when you really think about it, it's like, you can joyfully reflect, and you can, anticipate excitedly, but it's like, joy really only is here right now. So if you can pause to see whatever the treasure is, and, like, maybe the treasure is you get drinks with a person who you'll never end up with, but they make you laugh that day, and you happen to have a terrible day. It's like, that's a silly example, but I think I have always struggled to, there's a lot of talk about being present, but I do think that is a very practical way to live this open-handedness that we are talking about, and that I feel in the songs on this album. And I wonder, like, you said you have to love yourself before you can love other people. And I think something I love to talk about here is, like, the idea of contentment, because I feel that I've watched you arrive in that in the last couple years in a way that you didn't always have, and I feel it in the album. And so I wonder, like, is that the kind of superpower of dating? Like, do you have to be, like, if you're looking for something, anything at all from someone else,
Yeah.
is that gonna work? Like, do you have to be content with where you are to really be able to invite a new person in, genuinely?
I mean, I think that everyone and different things can bring us joy, and we can acknowledge that. But ultimately, like, you have to be happy because like, we are by ourselves. People leave. There's ways in life that you end up just being by yourself. So you do have to be able to entertain yourself, love yourself, be still, enjoy your own time. And I think that is, and when you are in that place, I feel like that's when your person kind of falls into place.
Yeah, because you want to be the whole you,
Yeah.
and not be expecting people to fill in holes,
Yeah.
that you have to be able to fill in on your own.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think when you finally reach self-love, your like vibration level just goes all the way up. And so then people are like magnetically attracted to you. So then just all these boys start coming in and you're like, oh my God.
That's the science behind dating?
Yeah, I think so.
It's your vibration level up, and
Yeah.
men are drawn to you.
It
And
is
then men are drawn to you. Yeah.
Kind of true.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
a wrap. You heard it here.
Yeah.
Well, we could go on and on. I want to tell you, just as a listener, Buying Time is my second favorite on the album, which I don't know if that you seem surprised by, but I just love it. I love the melody. This is another one to me that's very raw and honest. And just the like complicated nature of admitting when a thing is done, but still wanting to hold on,
Yes.
And I just think I think it's a beautiful song. I think
Thank you.
a lot of people will find comfort in it because I feel like a lot of life is in that kind of waiting and teetering between, is
Not
this
ready to
season
let
over?
go,
Exactly.
but knowing you should. But, like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna enjoy it a little bit longer.
It's a great song. I don't think I have like anything profound to ask from it, but I know people I think will find a lot of comfort in. Maybe I don't have a definitive answer right now, and
Yeah.
maybe I can just take as much of this good as I can, but then be honest about when it's time to be done, and just the tension of that is really hard, I think.
Yeah, I think like when I was going through that, you'd feel guilty that you were still enjoying that person or that thing, and then you're like, well, and then I'd have to remember like, okay, like at some point you do have to make a choice and go a direction, but also this is life and we're supposed to enjoy it, and
Yeah.
like if these things are bringing you joy, then allow yourself that without the guilt.
Yes.
But it's a hard balance, like everything. It's
Yeah, it is. Well, I love the song. I love the album. Is there any other particular song you want to speak about or you love? Yeah.
Oh,
You would know my favorite song
I
on
would
the
love to
album?
know your favorite song on the album.
I'll Be Here.
Okay, yes.
Favorite
Beautiful.
song. Like
it's a fun one.
Jonas Brothers Pump Up song, then second.
Oh,
I'll Be Here,
wow.
Pump Up song.
What an honor.
Yeah.
It is an honor.
Yeah.
Because that's actually an old song called Never Gonna Let You Down. And every time it comes on the radio or she'll put it on, she's like always playing it. And so I was like,
Yeah.
well, you'll be happy to know it's a new the original version
cool.
is on this record. And actually Sheryl Crow's duetting on it with me,
Oh,
which
awesome.
is like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's a very much like uplifting about always being there for someone. It's a generic of like
Yeah.
whoever it is that you want to be there for.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you like it.
Yeah.
As
Thank
a
you.
loyalist on the Enneagram,
Yes.
that makes sense for you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone that you want to speak about
Any song.
that we didn't cover?
You covered so many good ones. I mean, Wide Open and Still Gonna Miss
Yeah.
You and Meant for Me are probably my favorites
Yeah.
because of the sentiment of
Yeah.
them. But thank you for like diving in and listening to them. And,
Dude, I'm telling you, I
and-
love it. I'm not like, it's so good. I listened to it for the interview, and then I feel like I've been listening to it for the last 3 weeks. And
Yeah.
like I said, the timing for me is very sweet and personal. And I just think it's gonna resonate with so many people. And I love the music. I love you've got like harmonica in one of
Oh, I
them.
love the
kinda, like,
harmonica.
it's super cool. And I just think it's gonna be great. And I can't wait for everybody to get it. I can't wait for everybody to get it. The last thing we always do, because we're about joy. What's one thing bringing y'all joy right now? Like big or small, silly or serious?
So many things are bringing me joy right now. It's hard to pick. Honestly, this is
It's an honest place.
I have a really solid food day planned today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's bringing me joy. We're gonna go get sushi after this. Sonobana, favorite place, and then afterwards going to dinner at Present Tense, which is like my favorite
I
restaurant.
cannot wait to go. I'm
And
sick
so
of hearing
I've
about
literally
I
just
know, I
been
haven't
thinking
been.
about all the food I'm gonna eat today.
it. Yeah.
It's
Like, for the past 3 days.
That brings me much joy.
Yeah, and I'm just like pumped.
Can you give people who are either Nashville residents or they're coming to visit like 5 food recs? You don't have to give away your
5?
secret ones, but just like
Okay, no, Present Tense, like if just best restaurant in Nashville. That's a bold statement coming from me. Locust, it's hard to get in, but like if you plan it, you can
Amazing.
get it's so good. Taylor, not
Yep.
Fifth and Taylor, but Taylor Tailor. Really
the
good
pants.
tasting. Yes. What else? Sonobana.
and that's low key.
Give me
Like
that look.
it's a sushi place in a strip mall, so it's very
Yeah.
unassuming, but the
Yes.
food
Yeah.
it's great quality. I mean, for inexpensive. Coming from a chef.
Yes. And fifth. Let's see. I mean, it's not ready just yet, but I am gonna start doing dinner series.
Yes.
Ooh.
Talk about this.
Yes.
So like pop-up dinner series around town. Like tasting menus. I'm gonna have like my story kind of embedded into the courses. So I'm gonna have to throw that in the ring.
Where will people
Yes.
find out about that?
Yeah, just my Instagram
Which is
at
we'll put it in the
Rahaf,
show notes.
Rahaf Amer _.
Perfect.
Yeah, there's a Rahaf Amer. I don't know who she is, but
That seems so unlikely.
she exists.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my website right now is under construction. So if you go to it now, it's awful, but soon that will be up, and then I'll post everything there. But yeah, those were the 5
I'm
food
excited
Okay,
for the dinner
good.
series.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. Me too. And we'll put
guys
your
can come.
Instagram in the show notes, and then if the website is up, we'll just let me know. We'll update it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hopefully soon.
Colby, what's bringing you joy right now?
You know, there's been so many things like promoting this new music, and I've had shows in different, like really, like I was just in Montana and Florida and like all these different places, and going nonstop and seeing family and friends that I'm actually finding. Well, it's been so much fun, but I'm trying to find the stillness so that I can actually like reflect, because normally you go on a trip and you're like, you get back and you're like, oh, that was amazing. You
Yeah.
get to like digest it, and it's been so nonstop lately, which has been amazing. But I'm so loving like any hour or 20 minutes of just nothing and stillness, and so I really like, I'm glad I can appreciate that, because I think I used to be like, no, I need to fill
Hurry
that
and do
time
something
or
else, and I get
and now
that.
I'm like, oh, the stillness is really really good.
That joy only exists in the present.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you get some stillness promoting the album. Along the way, it comes out October 6th.
Yep.
And the dinner series will start soon. So y'all check it out. And guys, I really appreciate your time and conversation and honesty. It's been
Thank
fun.
you for having us.
A pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
Always a
is-
pleasure. Always a treasure.
Yes.
What's bringing you joy?
What is bringing me joy?
Ooh.
I have a baby nephew. This is the lamest answer.
Aw.
But he's my first niece or nephew, I guess biologically now. Connor had 2 that now are, technically I'm their aunt and I love them. But my sister's little boy just turned 8 months old, and he is precious, fiery redhead. Neither of them have red hair. It was like kind of a what's going on here moment when she had him, I think. But Connor and I get to keep him for her birthday overnight, and that's so silly, but I'm so excited. And he's like the perfect age where he can't really crawl or walk yet, but he like zooms in his little thing, so you don't really have to worry about him, injuring himself. But he's super expressive and laughy, and I'm very excited.
You're doing this today?
Tomorrow is her birthday, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
that's great,
Baby
Joy.
Jack, redhead Jack. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.